Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, I gotta admit, I did not see this one coming for the Atlanta Braves. I'm glad John Collins finally came to his senses. And last but not least, for the culture, Lil Tink Tink. That's all coming up next, right here on ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. ATL Day Ones is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, people, the Atlanta Braves are officially halfway through the season. I know it's 89 games. Follow me here. But, the Braves have the best record in baseball. They broke a franchise record for 26 consecutive games in hitting a home run. Hasn't been done since 1998. Go look that team up. A lot of boppers on that team. And even though they lost to the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday, they have won 11 consecutive series. And when you look at how this team has played, I started thinking about, okay, like when you look at this 2021 World Series team and how they were able to get to make their playoff run. Alex Anthopoulos did a lot at the trade deadline in order to bring some guys in who got on an absolute hot streak, and Jorge Soler and Eddie Rosario. Those guys came through big time in their run to the World Series championship. So those were the surprises of that year. Now I'm starting to think about, okay, in this season, who has been the biggest surprise? I know a lot of people might say, you know what? Ronald Acuna, nephew Ronnie, has surprised a lot of folks. Wrong. Because here's the thing. Like, we know this dude is uber talented. He was on an MVP type campaign before he got hurt and messed up his knee, right? And we know that coming into this season, a lot of times it takes about a good solid year in order for you to get into a space where you feel comfortable, you're fully healthy, and you have the confidence that you can go out and do what you did before you got injured. That's this year. And that was my expectation for Ronald Acuna Jr. coming into this year. So I can't sit up here and say that he was the biggest surprise. But here's who the biggest surprise is for me. It's Sean Murphy. Hands down. Let me take you back to that trade, right? Back in December, when the Braves acquired Sean Murphy, all you heard was defensive catcher, the second best defensive catcher in the league, behind JT Realmuto for the Philadelphia Phillies. And this guy's gonna come in and be the arm, the defensive guy that Alex Anthopoulos values. And then we start thinking about, okay, you got the details of the trade when it finally came down. Okay, they sent Wild Bill Contreras to Milwaukee and a couple prospects, Kyle Muller and Freddie Turnock, right? Okay, 6 players in all. Oh, man, that's a lot, for a guy who hit 250, had a 759 OPS in 148 games in 2022. Now, when you think about that, those aren't bad numbers. That's actually pretty solid, right? But when you think about what he was able to do when he first came in and, all of the hoopla about what he was going to be able to do when behind the plate and to be able to establish relationships, with those pitchers and be able to go through game plans and all of those things, like Eddie Perez and all of those guys, and even Travis d'Arnaud, they're heavily involved in the game plans and even during the games as well. So when you have a guy like Sean Murphy coming in, I was sitting up here like, okay, he's going to be a defensive guy. And then, the other 8 guys are going to have to worry about the run producing. Sean Murphy said, no. This guy has exceeded my expectations. Sean Murphy, he's hitting 306. He's hitting 999 OPS, which ranks 3rd in the majors. He's one spot behind Ronald Acuna Jr., who's having that MVP type year, right? So those are some of the things that you have to really, really think about when you're talking about who's that biggest surprise, I know the biggest surprise for me has to be Sean Murphy. So, especially when you're talking about him being in conversations behind guys like Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and Wander Franco, who have played a lot more games and had more plate appearances than Sean Murphy, because he's basically on a situation where he's basically catching 2 out of the 3 games, and Travis d'Arnaud is picking up the other game. By the way, another guy who's an all-star, catcher as well. So I think those some of the things that you have to think about when, Sean Murphy coming into this season, going back to that trade, and the expectations were just he was going to be a defensive guy. But now I'm saying that he has exceeded those expectations. He's gone above and beyond what Alex Anthopoulos brought him in to be. Now, a lot of people may say, okay, well, Jarvis, that he's a guy that, is taking advantage of a hitter-friendly park. That's cool. That's fine. I'm okay with that, because when you talk about, certain this even against a series against the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays, a game Friday night, 2-1, 2-run homer in the 4th inning. Boom, Sean Murphy coming through again. Saturday, same thing in the 4th inning, come through with a home run. Those are some of the things that you look for. Like, we expect those things from Ronald Acuna Jr. We expect those things from Austin Riley. We expect those things from a guy like Matt Olson, because that's what he was brought in to do, because he was replacing Freddie Freeman. At the end of the day, like that, if you come in, the guys that are replacing staples, MVP caliber players, those are the guys we're going to look to, to they'll put up those type of numbers, because and Matt Olson has come through with that. He's leading the league in RBIs, so he's coming through like that. Those are guys you expect that from. You expect it from Ozzie Albies, because he has pop in his bat as well. But when you are talking about a guy who hit 250 last year and he had his best season, he's 1 home run shy of his career high. Career high was last year in 2022, and he's on pace to break that this year in his first year with the team. So, a lot of people, were very concerned, when this trade rumors came down for Sean Murphy, and they heard about, and the details came out about where who the Braves were giving up, because we all love Wild Bill. I love Wild Bill Contreras. Like, he was a guy that, he was like, okay, you got your catcher for the future and you got your guy for right now in Travis d'Arnaud. But to be honest with you, I haven't thought about Wild Bill ever since Sean Murphy came through those doors and we started playing games. So I think that, the Braves have had a lot of surprises in the first half of this season. And, especially with dealing with all the injuries and Max Fried and Kyle Wright, and trying to figure out who was going to be on the mound night in and night out, and not wanting to be a team that is going to depend on bullpen games. We understand how Brian Snitker doesn't like to do those games. I don't like watching those games as well. I'm more on the side of giving those young pitchers a chance. Give those young guys a chance, because at the end of the day, the lineup is going to pick them up. The bats are going to pick them up at the end of the day, for the most part, and that's what we've been seeing from those guys. And I think that Sean Murphy has been a big part of that, because he has been the biggest surprise to me in the first half of this season when you think about what those expectations were coming into the season. So shout out to Sean Murphy. I'm not going to sit up here and say that you're going to be the MVP of the National League, because that's nephew Ronnie's. But when you're talking about a locker room MVP, just from on both sides of, from behind the plate and at the plate, yeah, Sean Murphy, it gets my vote, internally, as far as for the Atlanta Braves. Coming up next, John Collins finally came to his senses. But first, I got to tell you that this episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by a FanDuel Sportsbook, because it is the #1 sportsbook in America. Guess what? Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. Guess what? That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-unders to who you think is going to get the first home run. Just talked about how Sean Murphy been balling. Ronald Acuna been balling. Madden Olsen been balling. Ozzy Albies been balling. So yeah, your Braves are a good bet to go try to figure that thing out and go to FanDuel.com. All on the app, right? It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No texting the homeboy to make sure he got the money or trying to get that Cash App information so he can send it to you. No, you got to do all that. You're going to get your money right then and there. So there's no better place to bet on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $2,000 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON. FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of Major League Baseball. It is ATL Day Ones. I am Jarvis Davis. Tenitra, it was not here with us, and she will be back on Wednesday, folks. So don't fret. Don't fret. She will be return to the show. And we appreciate you guys rocking with us each and every day, our everydayers. If you have a question or a comment, go ahead and drop it on the YouTube right there, or leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate that. And we're available wherever you download your podcast. Now, we talk about John Collins being traded to the Utah Jazz. A lot of people's response, mine included, was the fact that finally you were able to trade him. You know, it's been a long time, and you're talking about trade rumors for at least 3 years, ever since he signed the contract extension with the Atlanta Hawks, and Travis Slank decided to go ahead and give him that money. And then it just kind of went all downhill after that. And what are you talking about? A PED suspension, and then you're talking about his numbers going down, his three-point shooting went down, rebounding went down, usage went down, and that's why those rumors started to ramp up. And I think that based off of what John Collins was as a player, I think the peak was, 21 and 10, right? The double-double, because he has the athletic ability to be that, right? That's the thing that we look towards when you talk about seeing John Collins progress when he first got drafted back in 2017. So my thing is with John, has always been with John, is the fact that, like, once you show me who you are, or you give me a season of production, like, I expect your numbers to stay around that area, right? Not drop off from 21 to 13 points, or from 10 rebounds to 6 rebounds, and what had his worst career numbers last year in the season. So, and I think that when I hear him talk about in the press conference when he was introduced to the Utah Jazz, and I kind of got a little excited a little bit from a standpoint of, because here's the thing, a lot of people feel like I hated on John Collins a lot, and to be honest with you, those weren't my intentions when I used to call John Collins out. Because here's the thing, John Collins was always willing to speak up when certain things were going on, and when all of the drama behind the scenes was being, rumored about and all that stuff. He was the first person to open his mouth and start talking. And I was just like, okay, you are in a space to talk at this point. And you should have handled it like Trey should have handled it, to be honest with you. Like, hey, this is behind the scenes stuff. This is an internal situation. That's what we're going to do. But being that you were willing to speak out and your play was declining, that's where I had the issue. That's where I had the problem. And I think that when I was checking out the press conference, when he was being introduced to the Utah Jazz, he said something that I felt like I was in a real space where I was like, okay, that's what I wanted to hear. And he was talking about how he understands how people expectations were raised by his play, and he didn't live up to those things. And I think that's what I was looking for. That's what I feel like Atlanta Hawks fans were looking for when in those situations when it was all the drama was going down and all of the issues with the coaches behind the scenes with Nate McMillan and Lloyd Pierce, when all that stuff was going down. You were the first one to step up to start talking, but your play was on the decline. And you know what could have cleared those rumors or got people to talking about something else? better play from you. Like averaging that double-double, that 18 and 10, not even 21 and 10, 18 and 10, 17 and 15. Because guess what? Clint Capella was able to do that, and his talent has diminished tremendously because he's been in the league for over 10 years, So those are some of the things that we understood that Clint Capella was able to do and that you weren't willing able to do. That's why that pick and roll relationship that Trey and Clint had, that's why it never changed, because John wasn't able to do or wasn't willing to do the necessary things that he needed to do to be able to get that usage back up, get that usage rate back up. He felt like he plays should have been called for him and posting up in the game and giving him the ball on the block and letting him go to work. No, that's not your game. Your game is athleticism, pick and roll, rim runner, defender. Been putting a lot more effort on that side of the basketball as well. So all of those things kind of culminated into my feelings and thoughts about John Collins when he was here in specifically in these last few years when he was an Atlanta Hawk. So to hear him come out and say that, he understands the expectations that people had, coming out, and I really feel like that was something he probably should have said before he left. It kind of helps me feel that, John Collins is going to get back on track at some point. Not saying he's going to be a 21 and 10 guy. I don't think he's going to make that jump, but I definitely feel like he's going to be better than 13 and 6 and 29% from the 3-point line. Another thing that I thought was very interesting, and I'm not surprised that he said it, he was saying how it felt good for him to be with a team that wants him and they want him around for the future. Because like you said, like I mentioned earlier, when you have 3 years of rumors, that can wear on you, and I can understand that. You can understand from an athlete standpoint when, like I said, the expectations are there, the money coming in, you got the big boy contract now, and now you're trying to live up to those expectations, because at the end of the day, it wasn't like he wasn't out there giving that max effort. I never questioned that. I feel like John gave all he could when he was out there on the court, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about from a mental standpoint, that stuff can wear on you. And that's what I feel like eventually, led to his demise as far as being an Atlanta Hawk for the future. And when you have him come out and say those things, about the team and being wanted, because everybody wants to be wanted. I know my wife loves me, but at the end of the day, I know that it's so great. It feels so good when she says, I love you. You know what I'm saying? It feels so good when she said, good job, Jarvis. Thank you for taking out the trash. Thank you for, cooking dinner tonight. I really appreciate that. All that stuff means something. And when you don't get that from your employer, and because that's your livelihood, right? And you understand, like, okay, do y'all want me? Do y'all want me around, or how long is my contract? When my contract up, are y'all just gonna let me walk in free agency? Are you gonna try to trade me? And those are some of the things, the questions that John Collins had to deal with on a daily basis. So I understand that. I get it. I totally understand. That whole mental aspect of it. So that's why you saw a dip in the numbers. But on the other side of that, I really feel like there should have been some times where he could have just put things in perspective, like he did at that press conference when he said understanding the raised expectations and understanding what the Atlanta Hawks had been trying to do for the past few years. I think at some point you should have just said, you know what, I'm going to ignore these rumors. I'm going to shut this thing down. I'm going to continue to try to figure out what my role can be until I'm gone and try to work through it on that end, but not always being willing to talk about all the rumors and all of the drama and all that stuff behind the scenes. I just really felt that wasn't a good way to handle that situation. And a lot of people thought, hey, Jarvis is a hater of John Collins. No, we're never a hater of John Collins. I actually hope that he extends his career out there in Utah and they figure out a way to get him at least to the point where he's in conversations about being an all-star. Because at the end of the day, that's what he was right on the precipice of that right before his numbers started to decline. So yeah, John Collins, I hope you do well, but I'm really proud to hear that, hey, you putting this thing in perspective in your time as an Atlanta Hawk, and I wish nothing but the best. I also wish all the people who rock with us each and every day the best. Our everydayers. Yes, we are here Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you download your podcast. And if you're listening to us right now, you don't listen to us every day, what the heck are you waiting on? What is it? What's the problem? What's the issue? I need you all to come mess with us because, there are a lot of people out here messing with us. They're called our everydayers. And if you're an everydayer, go ahead and drop it in the comment box right now. Or you can just leave us a 5-star review and include in there, hey, I love the show. Appreciate you guys, Jarvis and Tenitra. And I'm an everydayer. So, yeah, go ahead and join the club. Become part of the cool kids. And, go and jump on board because we are doing some really good things right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. But this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about because that's just how we get down on this show. Today is no different. When you think about, all the crime going on in Atlanta, sometimes I feel like it's a little overblown when you talk about major cities and, a lot of people being in a condensed area, you're going to have some crime. There's going to be some crime be committed. But I think I'm a type of person that like to find humor in a lot of things, but I think this one kind of takes the cake. I want you guys to check out, take a listen to this situation that was going down in a certain nail salon not too long ago.
Everybody get down! Give me all your money! Inspect the pockets! Give me all your money! Get down! Where's the money? Give me the money! Where's the money? Everybody give me everything! Where's the money?
Oh my goodness. So, Lil Tink Tink, we're just going to call him Lil Tink Tink because I don't think they have identified the man and found out where he is in Atlanta, but hopefully he's hiding somewhere and gone and have changed his ways because his time as a criminal is up. Like, he didn't have to go to jail to figure that out because the man walks into the nail salon, start yelling, hey, give it up and all that stuff. And then the looks on those people's faces, they were like, okay, what are you doing, sir? Why are you here? And why are you trying to rob a nail salon, man? Come on, what are we doing here? You really think you about to come up walking off into a nail salon and trying to get some money? But yeah, I think that this is kind of speaks to where we are in today's. And it looks like he didn't even have a gun. He just had something wrapped around, and the people were just looking at him like he was crazy. He had like a little bag or some situation kind of wrapped around his hand. I guess he was trying to portray it as being a gun. But when you think about just the dumbness, the dum-dum that he went to muster up the courage to walk off in there, it just looks like he was just practicing because it was even in the video, there was a lady, who was sitting right there. She looked at him, and as soon as he turned around, she kind of eased up and kind of backed her way right on up out of that nail salon. It was just like, I don't know what you talking about as far as giving up no money, but I ain't giving you jack. And that's kind of how she rolled with it. And then even as he was walking out of the nail salon, because obviously he was dejected and he probably went home and talked to his girlfriend. It's like, babe, try to rob this doggone nail salon today, try to come up, trying to feed my family, all that stuff. You know how people be trying to make things seem like it's a positive. Yeah, I tried to rob the nail salon today, try to get some money for little poop, because little poop needs some milk and everything and like that. And little poop just then has been starving, so I just had to go out there and try to feed my family. I'm trying to feed my family. That's what I'm trying to do, baby. And they ain't want to give it up. So yeah, he probably lost a girlfriend too, because yeah, that is just a sad, sad story for him to be able to walk off in that place, demand money. And he had a little bass in his voice, so you thought he was serious. Sounded like he was serious. Y'all heard the clip. Did you think he was serious? And they just weren't feeling it. They weren't scared, obviously. And shout out to them for being able to have some good discernment. Because obviously, if that had been a real criminal, I don't know if that lady tried to pop up like she did and walk out that store, and that had been a real hardened criminal. I don't know if we would have been talking about this because I don't, in those situations like that, I have been a person to say, you know what, like whatever it is, I can get it back. Because when you talk about materialistic things, and money and all that stuff, watches, whatever he was trying to get, all that stuff can be replaced, but not my life. Like you get one shot at this thing, and thankfully no one was hurt. But when you think about just taking the serious side of it, like think about that. You walk off in a place, you say, I'm about to rob these folks. I'm about to take some money from them. I'm about to take something from them. They can't mess with me. I'm real. I'm hard. I'm out here doing my thing. I'm about to go get this money. And the first words come out of your mouth, everybody get on the ground, give me the money. And they just look at you. Think about how low you have to be, or how his confidence was just all gone at that point, and walking out of that store. And then he had one last ditch effort for the lady who walked out, who was like, give me your money. And she just looked at him. That probably had been a low point of his life, I'm sure. So, poor little Tink Tink. Yeah, Tink Tink, man, you need to give it up, man. Go get a job, man. Just go get a real job. Just like, man, Jiffy Lube always hiring. I promise you. I used to work there. I promise you, they work. You can just go there, man. Get you a nice job. They always have orientation every Tuesday. They have orientation. So yeah, go check them out. I promise you'll be able to get on and just make a decent living. And then, work there for a year or so, and then maybe you can go back to school and try to get some education and try to do something with your life, because the crime life, that is not it for you, sir. Yes. I want to thank you guys for making ATL Day Ones your first listen today. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. You can even talk about, poor Lil Tink Tink out here trying to rob a nail salon. Or you can talk about how John Collins out here throwing a little shade at the Hawks before, in his introductory press conference with the Utah Jazz. You can comment on all of those things, guys. Really appreciate you guys and love you for rocking with us each and every day. And last but not least, speaking of love, how about this? If you don't do anything else for the rest of the day, make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, spread love.